Hi, my name is Annika. I'm a Pilates and yoga teacher. One of the things I often get asked is, can you work out a short sequence that is really strengthening for my whole body? So, this is that sequence. You can adapt once you know the sequence with more or less repetitions. I'm just going to give you a taster and take you through this flow. We're going to start with our legs hip distance apart, so hip bones at the front, and then align the feet with that. Really feel their feet is grounding to the floor. The crown of your head is reaching up to the ceiling, maintaining as much length and space in your spine as possible. Bring your awareness to your breathing. With the breath in, feel the ribcage expand. With the breath out, a softening. On the next out breath, you're going to take your arms forward and up, arm arc, and an arm circle out to the side and down. So the sequence I very much try to bring in mobility, strength through all the joints. The arms, of course, is shoulder mobility. But as we lift the arms, the weight of the arms is being supported by the deep postural back muscles. So to avoid arching the back, your back muscles will be engaging. We're going to add on. You lift your heels as you lift your arms. Bend your knees. Circle the arms. Extend the legs, lift the arms up. And then lower the heels, lower the arms. Let's do that again. Lift the heels, lift the arms. Arms circle plie. Extend the legs. Lift the arms. Lower the heels, lower the arms. Your spine is staying stable, so elongated. The ankles are staying stable, so we're strengthening the muscles in the foot, underside of the foot, the calf muscles, the muscles that support the ankle from the inside and the outside. Knees are tracking directly forward, so keep good alignment there. Let's do one more here, please. Now when you've done the last one, keep the heels to the floor, the arms relaxed by the side. Do a knee bend and extend. So those calf muscles that were previously contracting, now being lengthened across the heel. You have your Achilles tendon, so we're affecting change in the foot and the calf muscles here. Your spine is staying elongated still. Let's add in a bouncy movement, so a little double knee bend and extend. So training a little bit more the connective tissue, the fascia of the quadricep muscles across the knee, and of course your Achilles tendon too. Two more, and then I'll add a coordination challenge. Keep the legs extended, reach the arms forward and up. We're going to drop the arms like a pendulum, one arm forward, and then the other arm forward. And then we add our bouncy knee bend. One more with each, arm forward. And then when you've done that last one, just release the arms down to the side. I'm going to turn sideways so you have a better view. You can stay facing the camera. Breathe in, lengthen your spine up. Breathe out, not cold. Roll the spine down segmentally. So it's segmental mobility through the spine in focus. Your pelvic floor and abdominals are strongly pulling up to support the opening through the back of the body. Breathe in at the bottom, sense of width through your lower back. And then roll the spine up segmentally, stacking from the bottom. Lastly, lifting the head, it just arrives at the top. As you roll down, the back extensor muscles are lengthening, controlling this movement towards gravity. So they're being strengthened. Pelvis is staying fairly upright. When you're at the bottom and you breathe in, that's a tensioning or a lengthening of the connective tissue, your thoracolumbar fascia. We need that for lower back health. And then as you roll up the back extensor muscles again, contracting to lift you back up. So it's a back strengthening exercise. Last one. Of course, as you roll down, your pelvic floor abdominal strongly engaged. So it's a strengthening and a lift, even from the inner arches, all the way up the inner seam of the legs. Abdominal scooping in and up. This time we're rolling down until the fingers are just off the floor. Stay for a breath in. And then fold at your hip joint, so it's a passive forward fold, hands to the floor. Bend your knees as much as you need to, with your heels still grounded. Relax the head completely, unload the arms. On your next out breath, reach the sit bones up towards the ceiling, and then bend the knees. The hands are gently pressing into the floor as you reach your sit bones up. For some of you may perceive this as a strong hamstring stretch. I certainly do. Last one. Next time your knees are bent, we're going to lift the chest up, come onto the fingertips, so you're in a more active forward fold. The muscles of the back contracting again all the way up the neck and the head to keep it in this position. So it's as if you have a tray that you're carrying on your spine. Take another breath in here, and then that passive forward fold again. The hands stay on the floor, and then step the legs back so you're in a downward facing dog. The hands are shoulder distance apart. The arms are pressing you away. Our priority is an elongated spine. So whatever you need to do to get us fairly small. I say elongated, that means straight but with its natural curves. So the head, the ears are roughly in line with the arms, the sit bones reaching up. We have stability in the shoulders, so not collapsing the chest to the floor, but a sense that the upper arms are spiraling forward. So arm strength. You might feel a stretch at the back of the legs. We stay here for one more breath. Now curl your pubic bone in towards your belly button. Start to travel the spine forward in a wave-like motion. So you're coming out into a plank position. In your plank, you want your wrist joint and your shoulder joint to line up. Your eyes are looking at an imaginary line between your index fingers. Feel the heels reaching back, the crown of your head reaching forward, that lengthened space in the body still. Keep your hips at the same height as you bend your knees, shift back and set a space. So hip flexion, knee flexion. Lift the hip up and a big wave forward. Spine movement, abdominals need to contract to hold you in this plank position. And there's a definite sense of the arms involved. They push you back into downward facing dog. As I come forward into my plank, it feels like my hands are pulling apart to help engage the muscles around the shoulder, the joint, as well as the shoulder blade on the back of the rib cage. Last one here, please. Staying in your plank. Of course, you can hold longer if you have time. Lower the knees to the floor. Relax the toes. And then just bring your hands back so you're in a normal 4-point kneeling position. So we're weight bearing, that strengthening all over. Take a breath in. As you breathe out, we curl into a cat, segmental flexion through the spine, abdominals strongly engaged, so gentle strength there. Sit back, stay for a breath in, feel the opening through your lumbar spine. Center the pelvis, the spine, and shift forward. Now keep your spine centered and just shift back and forward a few times. Hands gently pressing forward to shift you back. Hands pulling back to shift you forward. Stability in your shoulders. And the next time you shift it back, maybe don't go as far back. We're going to stay there. A sense of the hands pulling apart, the spine stays uninvolved, so elongated. Slide the right leg back, keep stability in the left hip. And then we lift and lower that straight right leg. Every muscle in the leg active. Toes can point. The focus is your hip extensor muscles on that side. So hamstrings, gluteal muscles on that right side. 2 more. Keep the leg lifted after the last one. So it's at hip height. Shift forward. Hold for a moment longer. Feel that activity at the back of your leg. And then lower the foot to the floor. Do a semicircle out to the side. So the foot isn't just in line with your left knee. Check your left knee is still directly below your, let me just turn the other way around. Left knee is directly below your hip joint. Spine centered, so feel maybe that you're arching your back a little bit to keep that centeredness. You can have the outside of the right foot rolling down to give us an active lengthening on the muscles of the outside of the ankle, a lifting up from the inner arch. When you shift backwards and forwards here, you'll definitely notice that the focus of this exercise is our inner thigh muscles, our adductors. 2 more. The next time you are weight bearing forward over your shoulders, stay there. Spine stays as long as you lift the right arm out to the side. You're still parallel to the floor. Press into the hand that's in contact with the floor to rotate your chest up to the ceiling. That top arm will lift up, upper spine rotation. Come back into a centered alignment. As you press the hand down, think the upper arm spiraling forward so you keep stability in that left shoulder. Just 1 more here, please. When you've done the last one, you bring the hand to the floor again. You slide your right leg behind you to come into 4-point kneeling. From 4-point kneeling, we're curling back into cat. Sit back. Center the pelvis, the spine. Shift forward. 1 more. Notice whether you feel a difference in the left and right side of the body. The back, the hip. The next time you're forward, tuck the toes under, lift the hips up, and then adjust your stance so you're back into a downward facing dog. Heels reaching down, sit bones reaching up. Upper arms spiraling forward. Hold for 1 more breath. And then start to walk your feet forward. Curl into yourself. And then extend your legs and roll your spine up segmentally until you're standing upright again. From here, back to our arm arc releve, plie arm circle, ankle strength and stability, core stability, as we're trying to keep the spine in a centered alignment. 1 more, please. And then keep the arms overhead. We're going to do our dynamic knee bend, arm pendulum. 1 arm forward, other arm forward, and then release by the arms by the side. Stand tall. In breath. Out breath, segmental movement through the spine, rolling down. Activity and lift from the front of the body, all the way from the inner arches. When you get towards the bottom, you hold for a breath in. And then that passive forward fold. Extend the legs, release the head, and bend the knees. 2 more. Lengthening through those hamstrings, the muscles at the back of the leg. Last one. And then keep the knees slightly bent, lift the chest, lift your back, strengthening through the back muscles. Hold for 1 more breath. And then hands to the floor. Step back into a downward facing dog again. From your downward facing dog, a big wave forward out into a plank with the sense of the hands pulling apart, shoulder strength, stability. Shift back, lift those hips up and a big wave forward. Last one, please. From your plank, lower your knees to the floor and then adjust in 4-point kneeling. On your out breath, curl cat. Sit back, angry cat. Center the pelvis, center the spine. Shift forward. Now let's shift forward and back a few times, keeping your spine in a centered alignment. And then the next time you go halfway back, and you stay there. So we've unloaded the arms a little bit. The back muscles have to work a little bit harder in this shifted back position. They're in focus. Slide your left leg back. And then you lift and lower that left leg. So we spoke about what's happening in the leg that's lifting and lowering, hip extensors. But on the right side, notice that some of us have a shift to the side. We want to avoid that. So we're focusing on lateral strength in the right hip, a sense of the hip or the femur being sucked into the hip socket. No shifting to the side. Spine stability, pelvis centered. 2 more, please. So much going on. Keep your leg at hip height, please. Shift forward, hold for a moment, feel the arms pulling apart lightly. Lower the foot to the floor, and then you do a semicircle out to the side. So the leg is in line with that right knee. Now you could turn the foot around, see what feels comfortable in your hip joint, please. My toes are pointing forward. That feels comfortable to me. The outside of the foot rolling down, the inner arch lifting, so those muscles, plantar fascia on the underside of the foot active. We shift backwards and forwards. Sure, that was my hip. Inner thigh muscles being lengthened on that left side. 2 more. Keeping your spine centered. Stay forward. Bring the left arm out to the side. Oblique abdominals will be working to keep the spine parallel to the floor. We rotate the upper spine, lift the arm towards the ceiling, and then de-rotate. Keep your pelvis fairly stable. In breath to lift up, out breath to lower down. Hand pressing down into the floor, that arm is feeling like it's spiraling forward, the upper arm. Bring the hand to the floor. Slide that left leg back, come back into 4-point kneeling, please. Curling into cat, complementing balancing exercise after the one-sided. Sit back. Center the pelvis, the spine, a sense of the hands pulling back to lift the chest forward more. 1 more. When you've done that last one, tuck the toes under. Lift the hips up. We're back into downward facing dog. Hold for a moment. And then from there, walk the feet forward. Forward fold, relax, unload the arms, bend the knees. Breathe in. Extend the legs as much as you feel comfortable with, and then roll the spine up. Keep the arms heavy. The head's going to be the last thing to arrive at the top. I'm just going to turn to face you. I feel a little bit lonely down there. We come back to an arm arc, arms feeling light. Lift the heels, ankle stability. Arm circle, plie. Extend the legs. Lift the arms, lower the heels, lower the arms. 1 more. The next time you lift your arms up, you're going to lift your right leg forward and up. We have stability on the left, so no shifting out to the side, strengthening the muscles that form a fan around your hip joint here. The arms are going to sweep out to the side, and the leg is lifting at the back. You're keeping stability in your pelvis, so no rotation. That leg is just staying parallel to the floor. Reach your arms forward and up as you sweep the leg forward. My foot staying flexed, mainly to clear away from the floor, but also to activate, of course, muscles there too. It's called aeroplane. Your spine staying as long as possible, your back extensor muscles holding you up here against gravity so you don't face plant. And of course, you're feeling a lot of work happening in that supporting leg, the foot, the ankle, the knee, the hip. We stay in our aeroplane. You can hold this, you can bend and extend the supporting leg if you have time. And then lower the back foot towards the floor, so you're in a 90-90 lunge position now. We're going to take the right arm up, so same arm as the back leg. In your 90-90 lunge, your pelvis is still facing forward, so centered. The back heel is up, so the muscle that runs across to your big toe is actively lengthened. That's important for push-up when we walk and run, right? So we want to keep that foot in that position. You're going to lower down into a lunge, windmill the arms, arm motion. As you do this arm and leg movement, your spine is staying stable, so deep postural muscles in focus there. Slow, controlled movement. We're actively lengthening across the front of the right hip joint. then we add on. And when you lower down, you're going to lift up into a long side bend, the knee reaching to the floor, the ear and the arm reaching to the ceiling. And then we come up. In breath to go down. Out breath to lift up. If you want to challenge your balance, you do a double knee bend and extend. Woo, clearly I'm challenged. It also helps to train the elasticity. It's a quality of fascia of the quadricep muscles and also in the lower leg. One more, please. Arms out to the side for balance. Slowly control the back knee towards the floor. Bring your hands next to your forefoot. Relax the toes at the back. And then we shift back in space, so we soften the front of that right hip where we just had the active lengthening. That promotes hydration around the hip joint. You shift forward. Now bring your right hand in line with your right knee, an arm distance away. Your left arm up to the ceiling. Have a look. Your legs are 90 degrees, so the front knee pointing forward. Your pubic bone is curling up to have length in your lower back. And if you had a wall behind you, your pelvis, shoulders, head would be stacking up against that wall. Pressing down into the lower arm, reaching up through the top arm. As you reach the top arm up towards your head, reach the sit bones on the left down towards the floor. Feel that active lengthening through the side body. Breathe in, that increases the stretch tension. And then lift the arm up. Now reach the arm overhead again, we're adding on. Your top arm reaches forward like a big arc, and then that rotates your ribcage, rotates your upper spine. By sense, your pelvis is curling up. So you have this lengthening across the back of your body from shoulder to opposite hip. And then we twist towards the ceiling, open through the chest. You can open, spread your palms, maybe a stretch tension from the palm to the front of your shoulder, down to your hip. Let's do 2 more. Let the breath just flow. On this third one, bring your hand all the way to the floor. Really resist that. So abdominal strongly engaging in. Once the hands to the floor, walk the hands forward. Have it next to your front foot for a moment. So we're softening where we've been lengthening muscles and their connective tissue. Come back to the center, hands back to shoulder distance apart. Tuck the toes under of the back foot. Lift the knee away from the floor. Hands flat to the floor. Bend and extend that front knee in a buoyant manner until you feel you can easily step the front foot back into downward facing dog. Once you're in downward facing dog, sense the difference between the left and right side of your body. From the feet to the back of the legs, to the hips and the back. On your next out breath, a big wave forward through the spine, arriving in your plank, hands pulling apart. Shift back, lift up, big wave forward. One more, please. From your next downward facing dog, start to walk the feet forward, heels down to the floor. Curl into yourself, unloading arms, breathe in. And then extend the legs, roll the spine up segmentally until you arrive in an easeful upright posture. Back to our releve arm up, plie arm circle. Lower the heels, lower the arms. One more, please. Reach the arms overhead. Dynamic knee bend, arm pendulum. Maybe it feels different in the ankle joints. Keep the legs extended. Reach the arms down to the side. Reach the arms forward and up. Reach the other leg up. Sweep the arms out to the side and back as you lift into aeroplane, stability through pelvis and spine. Reach the arms out to the side and up as you lift the leg forward. Keep going. Notice what's happening in that supporting leg. Make sure your knees just not dropping inwards at any point. So keeping in alignment, hip, knee, middle toes. Let's hold the next one. Arms active, body very active. Hips centered. Step the back foot down. Lift the arms up. And then just organize yourself in a 90-90 lunge position. So the legs hip distance apart, the hips centered. We're going to take the right arm down to the side, lower down into a lunge, press into the feet, windmill the arms. In breath to lower, out breath to lift. We spoke about the lengthening at the front of your hip joint. Now think about the front foot. As you come up, you press the heel into the floor. That engages the muscles in the back of the leg all the way up to the gluteal muscles. So it's gentle strengthening for the back of your leg in the front. Let's add on. Next time you're in your lunge, reach the arm up and over, actively lengthening muscles, oblique abdominals, intercostals between the ribs. And then you lift up, just to an upright posture. In breath, that expansive breath. Out breath to lift. And then adding in that extra challenge of the little double knee bend, training the elastic quality of fascia. We need that for running and walking, more so for running. Last one. Arms out to side for balance. Lower the back knee to the floor, control it down. Bring your hands next to your forefoot. Relax the foot at the back. And then shift back. I'm going to change my angle so you have a different view. When I'm shifted back, the back is as straight as possible, so back muscles active. I have this softening at the front of my hip here. Some of you might feel a hamstring stretch in the front leg. We shift forward, just organize the legs so they're 90 degrees. Bring the left hand in line with the left knee, an arm distance away. The top arm reaches overhead. Organize your body so the pelvis, shoulders, rib line up. And then take that top arm slowly up and over towards your head. Reach the sit bones down on the right. Feel the length through the top of your body there. Lift the arm up. There's a softening, letting go in the tissue. Keep the arm overhead. Reach the arm forward and away from you. Shoulder blade glide over the back of your rib cage. Upper spine rotation. Pelvis is curling up by 6. And then we lift the chest towards the ceiling. The arm's going to open behind you. Keep the pelvis centered. 2 more. Mind that top knee. Press into the big toe of the foot and keep the legs stable. On this next one, reach the hand all the way to the floor. Walk the hands across to the other side of your right foot just for a moment. And then separate the hands back to hip distance apart. Tuck the toes under of the back foot. Lift the knee up. Start to dynamically bend your right knee until you feel you can step back buoyantly. Downward facing dog. Breathe in. As you breathe out, a big wave forward through the spine. Heels reach back, crown of the head forward in opposition. Bend the knees, keep the hips at the same height. Shift, a good range of movement in the hip and knees. As far back as you can without rounding your back. Lift the hips and a wave-like motion forward. Last one. From your plank, lower your knees to the floor, relax the feet. So you're in a, we call it kneeling front support, you might know it as a half plank. Your spine is in a long diagonal line. Let's actually do this in 4-point kneeling. So bring your hands a little bit further back, shoulders line up to wrist. A sense that the hands are pulling apart. back of the head the highest point. Just drop your chest between your arms. You notice your shoulder blades gliding toward one another. And then as you press the floor away, the shoulder blades glide apart. So the shoulder blades are not attached to the back of your ribcage. There's muscles between them. They're connective tissue. We want there to be good range of movement for shoulder health, but also for neck health. So this is a very, very valid exercise. Also, I want you to be aware of the alignment, right? The next exercise, make sure you're not collapsing down. Neither are you lifting up. So just see if you can find in your body what would be the centered alignment of your shoulder blades that just kind of hug around the back of your ribcage. Tricep press up. Bend your elbows back in space. The body shifts forward and we lift back up. So no collapse between the shoulder blades. Spine stays elongated. That includes the head. Make sure that's not dropping forward. Of course, you can do many more. We're just going to do one in this little sequence. And then from your 4-point kneeling position, just shift your elbows down towards the floor. Your arms are parallel, your elbows line up with your shoulder joint. And then from here, slide one leg out, slide the other leg out, and I'm in a plank on my elbows. Heels reach back, crown of the head forward, a lot of activity in my body to maintain this centered alignment. Again, you can decide how long you hold this plank. I'm going to transfer between this and a Sphinx pose. So lower your hips to the floor, relax the feet, lift your sternum so your breastbone forward and up. We're arching through the upper back. The pubic bone is gently pressing into the floor without overactivating glutes. And then release that a little bit, tuck the toes under, lift back into your plank. Lower, relax the feet. Stretch through the sternum forward and up. It feels like I'm pulling my elbows back a little bit. 2 more. Mind your neck alignment. In the plank, you're looking to the floor. In the Sphinx pose, we're looking for an even up and back extension. So eyes forward along the floor slightly. No point should you feel compression in your lumbar spine. When you've done the last one, rest your tummy down to the floor, reach the arms forward, shoulder distance. The legs are shoulder distance. There's length through your lower back. So pubic bone gently curling into the floor. Glide your nose, your chin, your chest forward, upper spine extension. Your lowest ribs are still in contact with the floor. And then we lengthen forward and down. So it's mobility of the upper spine and also strength. Muscles contract to get us up there. They hold us up there. They control the movement down. If it's suitable in your body, we're going to stay in that upper spine extension. You might need to engage abdominals, pelvic floor a little bit more here. We're going to add on to this challenge. Lift opposite arm to leg up. It just is a hover away from the floor. You've not rotated, your hip bones are still fairly even on the floor. And lower back down. Other side, lift, hold, stability through your spine in this extension. By holding, we keep alternating. By holding the spine here, we're working a little bit more on the endurance of the muscles of the back, especially the upper back in focus. When you lift the opposite arm and leg, you're trying to time it at exactly the same time. So think of the connection from your shoulder across your back to your opposite glute. Firing up to lift and lower that arm. One more to each side. And when you've done the last one, lengthen the spine forward and down. Slide the hands next to your chest. Press yourself up. We're coming back into 4-point kneeling. On your out breath, curl into cat. We're actively lengthening the muscles that were strengthened with the previous exercise. Sit back, stay for a breath in, almost unloading the arms completely. Center pelvis and spine. and shift forward. Out breath, cat. In breath, angry cat. Out breath to center. Into return. Last one. And that was your strengthening sequence. I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you so much for joining.